I think this is probably one of the best well-defined markets that we've seen in a long time, maybe ever.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Change and the Market. I'm your host today, Kevin Chamala, and joining us is CEO and President Joanne Gogan. How are you today, Joanne?
Doing well. Great to see you both.
Thank you for joining us. And with us as well is Chairman and best-selling author and noted luminary, Chris Masiello. Thanks for joining us today, Chris.
Hi, good to be with everybody.
We want to get right into it. We've seen some interesting articles come out about the recent market. And with that little bit of preface, I just want to pass it off to Chris to give us some brief insight about what's going on in the housing market.
Yeah, great. We were just talking about it earlier, that I think this is probably one of the best well-defined markets that we've seen in a long time, maybe ever, right? Where we're going into fall, winter. We know that interest rates are going to go down. We already are seeing them now below 6, right? There was just an article that we circulated from Yahoo Finance that, the rates are below 6. We know that inventory has come up. And so a lot of the blanks are really filled in. And unless something like really bizarre happens, we're poised for, a really good fall for buyers and sellers. I think it's kind of worthy just to mention that this is about as well-defined an environment as you can. Like the variables, have gone from being variables to being knowns, and those anytime that you can work in an environment that's got a high degree of knowns, it's a higher degree of security and certainty.
Yeah, and I think that's something we've discussed in the past, right? Especially when it comes to trends in the housing market. And so with that in mind, Joanne, why don't you piggyback off what Chris is saying about the time is now to potentially get into the market?
Right. And Chris, you're absolutely right. And it doesn't matter which side of the transaction you're on. If you're a seller, fantastic conditions going into this season, and buying with rates, there is no doubt that rates will continue to go down as we finish out the balance of 2024. So it is a good market on both sides. And all you have to do is drive around. You see the increase in inventory. Mm-hmm. You see the signs in your neighborhood. And we're excited about it. I mean, this is, you think about real estate in the last few years, there have been so many things that, we've all had to look ahead and say, okay, is it the right time? It is feeling very good. And we see it in our office. Our agents, they're busy. They're supporting sellers in their sales and helping buyers finally get to that point where it's the right time. So all positive.
Yeah, just that caveat, right? We talked about this last week. So we say there's more inventory. This doesn't mean that there's gobs of more inventory. It means that we've gone from 30 to 60, maybe 90 days. But I don't know of a lot of markets that are at 90 days, but just for discussion's sake, right? So that kind of bubble of inventory with the rates going down, probably as steadily, I don't want to say precipitously, but, they'll be going down, I think, steadily over the fall. That inventory will get soaked up. So there's a bubble around the inventory, not the market, but around the inventory.
No, and I think with that, right, that's a great transition to our next topic. I know we've been talking about the time is now. I think for the last 2-3 years, we've been kind of in a state as a culture of being a little bit frantic, just simply based on what's occurred in this country over the last 3 years, even including the housing market, right, and the housing industry. So, with Joanne saying the time is now and people driving around, that brings me back to, the time is now. So it's a great time to be present, right? To be centered, to be settled, to be focused, so you can identify whatever those opportunities are and those goals are that you're trying to achieve. And this brings us to Chris Masiello's most recent, latest book, Mindful Mondays. Recently published. It's available now on wherever you can get your latest book, Amazon, etc. And so we wanted to take a moment to talk to Chris about the recent book titled Mindful Mondays, and what that means and what it'll mean to readers and how that relates to our company.
Yeah, so Mindful Mondays came out of the pandemic, and once kind of the fog of war burned off after 3 or 4 weeks, and we kind of got ourselves settled into like this kind of new non-routine we were having. It really kind of occurred to us that what we really needed to do was find ways to be connected. And so we came up with the term Mindful Mondays. And I don't know how unique it is to us, but that's what we came up with. We started doing like just little topics. Could be talking about, work-life balance or all those types of things. And we had a company-wide Zoom call every Monday morning and at 9. And we just went through topics. And it gave everybody in the organization, the ones who, people who participated, which off and on was most people. And then people sent me topics. Hey, can we talk about this? Can we talk about that? And so it was really fun, and a lot of it, it was kind of interactive, it was somewhat PowerPoint driven, but it was on a Zoom call, and we all got to see each other, and we still do it today. It's a slightly different format today, right? It's not on a PowerPoint, and it's usually somewhere between 1 to 2 minutes, but it was something that we all participated in, and the book was really dedicated to everybody in the company, because everybody participated. And it was a lot of fun when we did it then. And, years later, we still do it, and it's a lot of fun. And so I was really proud and honored to be able to put all of this together. The foreword has, some kind of recollections of how we handled things during the pandemic. And even when I was going through the segments, I'll talk about that in just a second, but the segments and the chapters in Mindful Monday, I can remember the conversations that we were having, and I can remember, the level of intensity, at the beginning of the pandemic and then as it kind of, started to wane. So it is really kind of a company project, really, if you think about it in terms like that. That's why it's dedicated to everybody. And we took 52 of the 52 of the topics that we kind of enjoyed the most, turned those into short chapters, right, 2 to 3 pages each. And so there's a year's worth of content if you wanted to look at it that way. Of course, you can sit and read it in one sitting if you want, or you could read it every Sunday night or Monday morning, whatever the case may be. So it kind of gives you the opportunity to do small doses, or you could do the whole thing at once. And that's the format of it. So it was fun to do.
I love that. And I think this is going to be a powerful book for people interested in that style of reading, right? It's always important, especially for me as an individual, but I think for a lot of people, to understand their past, right? To look back even as recent as 4 years ago, right? To help inform them on how to move forward. And that ties right back into this market.
And the format's conversational, because what we did was we had each filmed session that we had of the 52. Each one of them was transcribed from the video. So the format's very conversational. It was kind of fun to edit that. It was an interesting look back on that period of time. And again, most of the chapters, which are episodes, were from that period. So I hope everybody enjoys it.
Well, we congratulate you on the publication of your book, Chris. We're excited for the reviews and everyone to get a chance to read it. It is available on all your reading platforms. So thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Change in the Market. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends, family, and colleagues, and we'll see you back next week.
Good to see you both. Good to be with everybody.